out, which Melissa's old nose also called. She says, you guys have gotten used to this level of aggressiveness. I am not. She helped throw the lunch, but she's out. Jen says, I give Danielle permission to stay. Melissa Gorga, very funny this episode. She's sitting there and she's like, I'll just sit here, me, the whore, the stripper. She's making reference to Strippergate. That brings us back to a different time. We had Nicole Carasquiglo on our podcast right here on Patreon. She danced with Melissa. She says Melissa is a stripper. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But Melissa's being very funny. I'm a whore. I'm a stripper. I'll just sit over here. It is some kind of closure. We bring it back. Have nothing to say. I'm just reading my own notes. Then we get into this whole timeline, and Margaret is talking about the timeline. She says, I only spoke to Vanessa after I realized you guys were speaking to Laura. Well, Dolores seems to say that's different than what you just told me at the house. Margaret is exposed to Dolores as a liar. Dolores, I don't know where you've been. You know Margaret lies, and you know that I know that you know that Margaret lies. We all know Margaret lies. Guess what? Teresa lies too. It's okay. We all do. Apparently, Jackie does too. Jennifer, Aydin, y'all lie. So Margaret's lying. She messed up the whole timeline. Dolores is onto her. Yeah, like this whole thing about 2021 versus 2022. Did I do it after you? I mean, I guess it does make a difference. If you did it after they already contacted Laura, your ex-best friend, but it seems like you did it before, Marge. So you're lying. Shame, shame, shame. Teresa, once again, she's been doing this for years. She puts down Benigno and she's like, you're fucking the plumber. And, again, listen, if there are any plumbers out there, male or female, listening to this, you're not lesser than. So I agree with Margaret, who's like, I fuck the plumber all day long. Melissa's like, oh my God, what's wrong with being a plumber? I agree, not great. Margaret says your dad was a cobbler. So now Margaret's putting down the dead father. Teresa's putting down plumbers. These people go low. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried, right? So that's that. Then Rachel Fuda gets involved because you do this. You don't go after the men, Dolores says. She says, keep, my husband's name out of your fat hot dog lip mouth. Really funny. Great line. This is where we got it from. Right. Melissa is laughing when Rachel Fuda says hot dog lip mouth. She can't even believe it. She's like, wow, Melissa's loving this. She's really funny. Then Margaret reveals her big, big, shocking twist that Jackie had the ex at her house. Everybody has a reaction. Danielle Cabral is now like the chorus. She's laughing. She can't even believe it. She's like, that bitch is the shadiest motherfucker of you all. They thought this was going to be some big reveal. I mean, granted, it was like Jackie's moment in the sun, and we still didn't really have Jackie on all season. Margaret says she just found out last week. She's pulling up her notes and her texts and, she's saying, but we know Margaret lies. So does it even matter what she says? She says she was speaking to Vanessa, the ex, and Vanessa said, who did they have at the house? And she said this one and that one and Jackie. And she said, Jackie? She shouldn't have Jackie. I was at Jackie's house. Well, then Jackie denies this and says, you scumbag, you scumbag, you scumbag. You're lying. Shut the fuck up. Margaret's telling her to shut the fuck up. She denies it. She denies it. And then she admits it. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, we've all been there, right? Like I have been there at times. I can't really think of an example, but I've definitely been there at times where like I deny something, I deny it, and then I'm like, okay, I did this. Not really that shocking. These days I just admit everything. I mean, I truly don't care. So now I just admit fucking everything. But I've been there where I say I didn't do it. And then after like 3 times and you're like, oh shit. But Jackie understands. She's sitting there and she's processing and she's like, Marge is the Sarge. And she has screenshots and receipts and phone records. And under the bed, she has 35 Finstas and Lexi's like ass is up in the air while she's like up and bending over the bed and trying to find the Finsters. So Jackie knows, hey, guess what? The Sarge is going to pull up a receipt tomorrow. So I better just admit this. You're a lawyer, Jackie. You're smart. Marge even says you're a lawyer. You know just how it works. Margaret fucking hates Jackie. Oh my God, hates her. I also love after it's revealed that it's Jackie, For a minute there, Marge and that Jennifer Aydin is shocked. She's like, oh, I don't know if we're accepting Jackie back into our group so quickly. Jennifer and Marge have a moment of like, oh, this is disgusting. Margaret's like, oh, Jennifer Aydin's buying my shit. Maybe I'll be friends with her. Listen, next season, when Teresa might still be on the show, we're going to talk more about this. If there is a show, if it comes back in a couple of years, doing a whole episode on that, guys. Who knows that when Teresa's on the show and Marge isn't and Jennifer Aydin isn't, maybe they'll be friends. I doubt it, but stranger things have happened. But I like seeing them come together almost. Danielle's loving it. Jackie turns to her and says, look, the whole world, you accused Evan of cheating. You're looking for pictures. And it is, and I know this for a fact, Jennifer Aydin did go and try to investigate and find women and all this other shit that would vouch for this. And yeah. So Jackie said, when that happens, of course, I called Louie's ex to my house. I wanted something on you. I get it. I don't think it's that big a deal because it really was in the past. Teresa also doesn't think it's that big a deal. Once again, Melissa Gorga, I got to give it to you. Everyone's going to think I'm a huge Melissa fan. I think Melissa had a great season and she's been great in her interviews. I'm really liking Melissa these days. I really am. Sorry. It's called being a human. Don't take anything back I ever said about her. I don't do that. But I love that Melissa's like, what? What? She's okay with that. And now Jackie and her are like, and yet we're still talking about the fucking sprinkle cookies 10 seasons later. Brilliant line, but it is true. We are still talking about that. And she's fine with this. And it's all because she doesn't want to give Margaret. And then Jennifer Aydin, I got to give it to her. We're not going to see her again on the show after next week, but I got to give it to her. She does have a point that Teresa has a delayed reaction. And, when this sinks in, she's like, I don't think Teresa's processing it. Let's face it, Teresa's not the brightest tool in the shed, if you know what I'm saying. When Teresa processes this, that Jackie had Louie's ex in her house, I don't want to be around. And let's face it, the cameras will stop. And she went to dinner with Jackie to prove whatever a few weeks ago. She don't care. Listen, Melissa is dead to her. Joe is dead to her, but never say never. Her brother married a whore. And let's just remember that when it comes to Margaret, she fucking hates her. So it backfired. She doesn't hate Jackie. There you go. And that's how Melissa's old nose said we're going to cut a scene. The cast went. They watched it in separate rooms. They were shocked. Where is the scene? Where is the glass? We saw the glass in the beginning. Teresa's camp rumor, Melissa's old nose is saying, put out this narrative that Danielle threw a glass picture at her. Jennifer is saying that. I don't know how these people just make up a lie. I don't know. Well, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but someone's got to get someone from Rails and ask what they saw. But Teresa's camp, Melissa's old nose, and a lot of other people are saying, put out a narrative that's floating around that they edited a scene where Danielle threw a glass pitcher at her because they're protecting Danielle and they want to maybe be able to have her back. Melissa's old nose and others